Hey everyone, welcome back to the Trendcrusher podcast. I'm Peter K. On this episode, we're shifting the spotlight back to the Indian subcontinent again, and to start off with is a track by a short-lived band, Vajravarah, that were around from 2016 to 2019. While they played many live gigs, they didn't have any recordings out. Finally, in 2025, they have a 2-track EP that's out on vinyl only, titled Vajrasadhana I. Here's the track from it, Vajrasadhana I. And that was Vajravarah. And do check out the EP. I think it's limited to 50 copies. Also, they have digital downloads available, so I'm leaving a link to the show notes. Now on to today's episode. I had a chance to speak to Parash Shakya of the black metal band Antim Grahan. They're from Nepal. They have a new album out, Funeral Lament. I spoke to Parash about the history of the band. They've been around for over 2 decades, the evolution of the metal scene in Nepal, and also about the album Funeral Lament. Here it is. Hi, Parash. Thanks for joining me on this episode.
Pleasure. Pleasure to be here.
Now, I have to say, right, this is one of those episodes I feel that has been like a long time in the making. And before we hit record, I was kind of telling you about how I've actually heard a lot about the bands from Nepal, and primarily through
Hmm.
the Rock Street Journal, RSJ. They had the
Yeah,
forums back in the day. So
right.
you guys actually go way back. Yeah, so
Yeah, we're pretty old. Yeah, we're pretty old now. When you think about it, yeah.
but it's interesting, right? Because like I was doing a bit of research before to kind of get ready for this interview, and actually correct me if I'm wrong, because this is what I read in one of the articles, is that you actually started the band in 2002 with your brothers right after high school. So it's crazy when
Yeah,
I think about
that's
it,
true.
like,
That's true.
for a bunch of high school students saying, we want to start a black metal band, and of all
Mm.
places in Nepal. So tell me, what was that like?
Yeah. Yeah. We did start 2002. It's been a long time since we started. I started with my brother, my younger brother, who was the guitarist in the band, Pankaj, who is not in the band right now. He's in Australia right now, so he stays there. But we basically started with my very close friend Neeraj. We were classmates. He's still in the band, right? He's the most black metal person in the whole band. And yeah, so now when we talk about 2002 and 2025, we two are the only old folks that remains in the band from the starting lineup. And we basically started, we were just young kids trying to play music. And let's say we just liked the whole perception of noise to our ears. And it was very, very difficult for us to get any sort of materials to start with because it was basically your usual stuff like, Metallica or Iron Maiden, and largely of that. And there were a few interesting shops where there were like little underground shops where they used to give us bands like Sodom, Sadist, Cradle of Filth, Decide, and those sort of thing, and Lord Belial. I mean, those were basically how we started listening to them. And me and Neeraj were basically very much into the black metal music and how it sounded, especially our references were the early Cradle of Filth. Lord Belial, Kiss the Goat, the album, we think it's great. And your usual stuff like Immortal and Emperor and Limbonic Art and stuff like that. Basically, that's how we started, and we started to have like the boys who did not like black metal, but were a little into metal. But somehow we manipulated them in playing in our band, and basically that's how we started. So yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's so interesting because, like, I kind of know the era that you're talking about, right? Because 2001,
Yeah, lack of
2002.
internet and all that sort of. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, very similar. I grew up
Yeah.
in Bombay at that time. So I still
Oh,
remember
wow. Okay.
someone getting a burnt CD for me. And the fact that, this person had not only access to like high speed internet, but also a CD burner suddenly made them the most popular person in school. And they could kind of like, get music for you and things like that. But that at that time, I
Yeah.
think, like, again, to paint a picture for everyone back then, that was like, I think, the cusp of when, or the inflection point of when new metal kind of blew up. Like I remember listening
Oh,
to
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Linkin Park at that, I think
Limp
it was April,
Bizkit.
yeah, April of
Mhm.
2001. And before the end of
Yeah.
the year, like everyone was a Linkin Park fan, and it was easily one of the biggest
Yeah.
bands. But then
Yeah.
also, I remember because I moved to UAE in 2001, soon after that, and then 2002. And I remember coming across like these underground black metal bands. And,
Mhm.
I want to kind of contrast your experience because imagine living in like the Middle East in the desert, it's one of the like the warmest places. You always see the
Right.
sun, so you can't really resonate with black metal. But the moment I moved
Mm.
to Canada, and you see the
Right.
snow, and it's like literally grim as expected, right?
Right.
That's where it suddenly kind of like a light bulb kind of switched. You suddenly kind of resonate a lot more with the music,
Mm.
the and I started resonating more, I feel, with more than the melodic stuff, the more harsher stuff that's
Hmm.
there. Like Immortal is
Hmm.
easily one of the bands that I was like, what the fuck? Like this is like, the stuff.
Mm.
What was that? This very similar. I mean, what I'm talking about, at least in Canada, was that a very similar experience for you guys back home?
Um, well, it was slightly different because we basically started with a little more melodic, part of the metal, as in Krill, the early Krill of Filth with the vampiric, black metal, the gothic era sort of thing that's coming into play. And like I said, Lord Belial and Emperor, which were very, the first albums were very symphonic. They created this whole path for the new generation to come in. And so, yeah, we started being a very sort of a melodic, you know, a band with I would say that we were playing pretty much thrash with a very heavy black and symphonic metal influence in our first album, Forever Winter. And it started to become as we had access to more materials and you know uh, and we liked also the harsher part of the metal as you've explained. We started becoming more and more into say more let's but less melodic stuff, even though we our roots are basically melodic and we try to work with melody a lot. But yeah, so if you could see our album progression, Funeral Lament is our eighth album. We have become less and less melodic, as you per se. One of her album was like pretty much, the cross between technical death metal and grind and element of black metal. So we just experimented with our album called Putrefaction Eternity. So there were a lot of stuff that we did, from symphonic to having incorporation of more grindcore and like a sort of brutal death and thrash, but still having overall the black metal stuff. So that's where we are at this point of time right now.
Okay, and yeah,
And I
and
think Immortal isn't very brutal, but relatively, it's definitely more harsher, as you put it, if you compare it to the early Krillofant and stuff like that. Yeah.
oh yeah, for sure. And I think it's also
Mm.
like one of the things with Immortal is the fact that you didn't have a lot of information about a lot of these bands, right? Like Dark Throne, Immortal. So there's that entire mystique and mystery around them, which I
Oh
think
yeah, of course.
totally adds to it, right?
Mayhem. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, see, the whole idea of black metal that was interesting was because the stories, the mysticism that came along with it, the urban legends and stuff like that, if you can put it that way. We were listening to a lot of band, then it just diverted into so many subgenres, as in now that there are like suicidal depressive black metal bands, and there are funeral black doom black metal and brutal black metal and all that sort of bestial war black metal and all that sort of things started coming out. But at the end of the day, I think the difference between what you just said about being in a very sunny place and talking about black metal, which basically originated with a very cold, outlook of the whole place and the story, it was for us. We hail from Kathmandu, right? So it's not very cold. It's a very pleasant place to be in, but it doesn't snow and all that sort of thing. So for us, especially for me and Neeraj in the band, and Pankaj was more, my brother, the guitarist was more heavily into more thrashy stuff, more deathly stuff, even though he was like primarily the main composer along with Neeraj in the initial days. Neeraj and I had this whole idea of, black metal as in what music we are playing and with what we are interested in. And I usually write all the lyrics of my album, of the band's album. So my idea is I'm absolutely fascinated with forest and snow, the cold places. I love them. The whole idea of melancholy and loneliness and the sadness, and then you just try to squeeze them, and then you just live in the moment and every sort of thing. And fortunately for me, Neeraj is also quite crazy about those kind of stuff. So that's how I think we build the story, and we started thinking about a lot of stuff and created our own stories and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean that's how everything started and where we are right now.
Wow, thanks for kind of like encapsulating that entire journey for me. And first of all, you already kind of gave a hint. So yeah, you guys are on the cusp of releasing your eighth album, Funeral
Right.
Lament. But before we get to that, I
It's
just want
already
to.
released.
Oh, it's already released. Wow. Okay, sorry,
It's
my bad.
already released. It's not fully out there yet because we haven't put it on the any musical platforms as of yet. No Spotify, no nothing. But yeah, it's there to be bought if people are interested. So yeah, it's out there. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So before we touch upon Funeral Lament, right, I want to just kind of understand
Right.
uh, what was the response like, first of all, to your music, right? Because I don't like, I know there's a punk scene of sorts in Nepal,
Mm.
and I know at least of, other than you, one more black metal band from Nepal. Uh, and I'm going to butcher their name, so please forgive me. Urga
No,
Karma.
no, that's not a black metal.
Oh, okay. So they're more death metal then, I'm guessing.
No, they are absolute loud and out death metal band. They were
Okay.
basically, I mean, they were like one of the first, if not the first, extreme death metal band that we heard of in Nepal. So they started the whole,
Hmm.
revolution of metal in Nepal. So yeah, so but they're like absolute death metal, nothing to
Okay.
do with
So,
black metal.
wow. So I don't know of any other Nepal black metal band. Wow, this is
But
crazy.
there was this band called Kruntus, absolutely amazing band.
Okay.
They have disbanded right now, but they played with us when we were playing. Absolutely amazing band. And there was, I think, another band called Kaladin with I knew the guys in that. Amazing bands. And there were lots of other little bands that just came and then unfortunately they went because our scene is sometimes very trendy because sometimes mostly the bands are metalcore or sometimes it changes to grind, sometimes changes to death. And right now it's very big on grind and hardcore at this point
Hmm.
of time. Um, but I think black metal was always a scene where it was more underground, as in many people I don't think likes it, the music. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So not much takers for that genre. And even though even from the all the times that we've been playing, we never had many black metal bands like you can count it in
Hmm.
their hands and sort of thing. So we always had this sort of small community of black metal bands and black metal listeners as per se. So yeah, it's a pretty scarce genre in Nepal, if you
Okay.
want to put it that way. Yeah.
So, okay. So I want to ask you the next question by building some context
Yeah.
also, right? I mean,
Sure.
relatively, if you think about it, India has quite a few metal bands and things like that. So,
Absolutely.
one
Yeah.
of the things also is about recording your own music. But before we get into
Mm.
your journey and why you all wanted to record your own music, one of the musicians here was telling me, and this is like current, present day, right? Where he said they were recording at a studio, and he said, for some reason, a lot of like producers or even recording studios are not equipped to record metal. So he said the
Mhm.
recording engineer, and I quote, when they go recording, because they're a doomish metal band, because they're recording like layers of feedback and stuff, all he's doing is just like with his forehead, his head holding on the mixing board, and you're like, what the fuck did I get myself into? Like, what are these guys? Are
I
they
can
like,
completely understand. Yeah.
was it similar for you guys when you all started out in terms of recording? How do you all go about?
Yeah. See, firstly, when we started our journey into recording, taking out a record, right? When we started, it was absolutely difficult, right? Because it's not only about trying to convince the person to take out the sound that we actually want, when he has never heard of anything that is metal or even a heavy rock for that matter. The whole financing of the record itself was very difficult. We were very, very young. We did not have any producers. We have not worked with any record labels as per se. We've always been an independent band. And it was like all our records are self-financed and all that sort of thing because the scene is not big enough for us to say have a record label or someone producing an album. So getting the money for the recording from 2002 going forward to 2025, it's still difficult, you know. Maybe that we've gotten old, we work, maybe we have a little money to, put into more effort now, but at the same time, it is definitely difficult. So uh, again, it's not only money, it goes simultaneously. First, when we started, it was very difficult for us to take out the sound that we wanted because the people wouldn't understand it. But even till now, when we are talking about the sound that we actually want, even for the people who would listen to hard rock or heavy metal, it's still very difficult for them to take out the exact sound that we want because sometimes the music would be very extreme. The music would go what 260 BPM and trying to take out the crispy blast beats and guitars and keys and vocals all sync into one and not make it a very muddy sound sometimes become a massive headache for them. So yeah, the problem is always there. The problem is absolutely always there. So yeah.
Okay, so I think let's kind of progress or go forward, right? Um, a decade into you guys being a band, so to say, in 2013, you all decided to take a break.
Mm.
More than focus on why you all took a break. 10 years later, what kind of motivated you all to kind of come back, right? Because again, I get it, right? Because I'm assuming we're of very similar age groups. There's
Mm.
jobs, there's marriages, there's kids, I mean, the list kind of goes on, right? And then there's
Yes.
at a certain point, if you're like, and I use the term very loosely, right? Desi and Indian or Indian subcontinent, you have the problem of like you're taking care of your parents and you're dealing with people who don't understand what you kind of do and what
Yeah.
is your because metal, let's be honest, is not just a passion, so to say, if you live in this part of the world, right? It's a lifestyle.
Oh yeah, yeah,
It's everything.
absolutely. It's
So
everywhere. Every
hmm,
metal usually is difficult everywhere. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying. It's same
so
here too.
how did what kind of got you saying, you know what, fuck it, let's give this another shot, let's go back to being a band again?
Well, yeah, I mean, so like you rightly said, the whole family obligations, the work, the career where you actually earn bread for your family, that's very important once you start getting older, right? Especially when you have the kids and you have to take care of the whole family and all that. It's always there, and it was one of the major issues when we decided to take a break because my brother left for Australia because he wanted to do something there, and all the guys were doing their own thing, and it was only me and Neeraj, the you know, we were still in touch with, still engaged doing something. Which we were like, why don't we do it again? This time, let's try to do even more crazier stuff. Since we are already old, if we are trying to do something, uh, a black metal or an underground project, that means it's going to take a lot of time out of our daily life. So we work for the whole day. We get together to practice, say around like 8:30 in the evening, 9, and then we practice till what 10:30, 11ish, and then we all go home. So yeah, I mean it's gonna take an effort. So we really discussed about this if we were willing to sacrifice that or not, because that means you're sacrificing your time of going out with your kids, with your family and that sort of thing, and you are tired and all that, but still there is no excuse. You have to come to the practice gig whenever there are events or when you're recording an album or you're practicing as a band. So we decided that okay, we still got something in us that we can sacrifice the the worldly pleasures for the dark room, and us, the boys, being together. So we started looking for other bandmates. We needed to have the drummer, and then all that sort of thing. Because the Chipang's drummer, Govind, and I don't know if you've heard of their another drummer, Surya. Those both were playing for Antim Grahan at one point of time. So they were our drummers, and our Mr. Chidesh to them all. No, it's a joke. He'll kill me. But yeah, they played for Chepang. And Sitish Dai has always been like he's a gem of person. He's always talking to me. We are always just talking with each other and all that sort of thing. But he hates black metal. I don't know if you know that part or not, but
Really? Wow.
he doesn't like black metal. He's giving me shit all the time, but he's very supportive at the same time. And I have convinced him to do a Chepang and Antingron song together. And he said like, yeah, yeah, sure. So let's hope something comes out weird and crazy.
Yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, I mean, both my drummers play is in his band now, Surya and Govind. And so yeah, I mean, we search for bandmates. We practice for about a year for our materials and all that sort of thing. We start practicing and everything, and that's when Goat Legion happened. So that's where we started. Yeah.
Wow. And actually, prior to this, I was listening to Goat Legion. And I must say, right, I think because I've heard some of your earlier stuff, I see the kind of progression that you're kind of talking about, right? And
Right.
the beauty, I think, is also when you think about it, what is black metal in 2025, right? I mean, there's so
Yeah.
many different
Very true.
subgenres,
Correct.
there's so
Correct.
many
Correct.
different things. And I think, um, I mean, it's strange also when I think about it, right? Like for a lot of like people from Europe or where you see, they're also surprised. But I feel that there is something about metal and especially like black metal that kind of unites people. It's that emotion, that feeling that you feel when you just hear the music, right? It's
Right.
that
Right.
first riff. It's the lyrics, and I think
Mm.
that's also one of the things that I connected when you kind of said about the lyrics, right? Is because that for me is one of the most important things with metal. Also, that's how you kind of divide or kind of see the different
Yeah.
bands in subgenres
Absolutely.
itself. Uh, but having said that, right? I mean, like what's it been like, and how would you kind of compare over the last, I don't know, since when you all first started out to now? Uh, let's do both things, right? What has been the same thing? Like you feel that, fuck, whether it's 2025 or 2002, this shit doesn't go away. Or and what do you think is different? Whichever one you want to start off
Um,
with.
yeah, so let's see. The thing is, for us, whether it was 2002 when we started or it's 2025 at this point of time where things are different, and the ideas and the choices of people are different. It changes as time progresses. For us, the one thing that never changed was our love for the underground extreme music or the type of music that we play. We want to play music as I don't know if that's a word, but as uncommercial as possible. We got to do nothing with trying to blend in with the trend or trying to sort of how do I put it? So try to modify our music into something that could reach more people. We were never interested in that. We were not interested in that in 2002, even though our music was a bit more melodic because that is what the material that we used to get, and that is the fastest that we could play at the point of time because we were just young kids. We didn't have the proper equipments or the ideas, the learnings, whatever that was that at point of time. And now when we are like slightly more older, we have access to a lot of things than what it was before. The thing remains with the flame and the fire and the love for this extreme music, the noise, as you per se, and the complete agreement of never changing it. So that remains. That never went away, right? I think that's one part that always stays, and even more stronger now. And what has changed is the perception of black metal and what we play. For instance, in our new album that we have taken out, so the whole idea was. no matter how fast you play, no matter how brutal you play, at the end of the day, there are like 1,000 black metal band all around the world playing the same shit. So and it just becomes like you're becoming a good carbon copy of a Norwegian band or Finnish band or European American band that you've been listening to all these years, and was just trying to sound like them at the same time, not doing anything of your own. So, the understanding of having your own sound, which is very, very important. That's why the new album has, we sort of incorporated a lot of Nepali ancient music instruments, trying to get it into that sound of black metal, trying to incorporate more thrashy elements and all combined into black metal, and trying to create our own sound. So this is our first try of trying to play something which is not just playing, copying the likes of Mayhems or Immortals or Imperors or even Cradle of Filth or anybody, or Watain, the new ones, or stuff like that. Or we're just trying to create our music. So that has changed the understanding of the music and what is more important when you are like going towards the growth, and we're trying to create music that is something that we really love and people could appreciate, whoever like those kind of music, for the fact that we are taking some time off away from all our family and friends and whatever free time we have to create something which is going to be meaningful, at least for our understanding and our growth and our creation. So I think that has most definitely changed.
Awesome. And at this point, I know at least you said you all don't have music on streaming, but you all do have a single out on YouTube, which is "Feed Them to
Two
Vultures."
singles.
Two singles, yeah.
Yes,
Uh, which
yes,
one of those would you like to
yes.
talk about, and maybe I can just play it on the podcast? Which one would you like to talk about?
Um, See, the thing is, both of them has the elements of. Let's talk. So we have two songs called "Feed Them to Vultures," and the other one is called "Into Eternal Slumber." So "Feed Them to Vulture" is more in your face. It definitely has a traditional Nepali instrument called dhime in that song. If you would listen to it, you can figure it out. "Into Eternal Slumber" is more. Uh, let's say it's the slowest song of the album. It's little on the melodic and sadder side, but it has the vocals of a very talented her name is Jhuma Limbu. She portrays she's one of the most say now finest artists who is representing the traditional musical sounds of from the part of Dharan and those part we cities like Dharan and Interior and that sort of thing. But we've made her sing uh, songs from the other part of the things, and I think she's done a good job. Even though it's snippet, very small parts, I think she's done a good job about it. And since it's our first try in doing something like that, so yeah, so both different songs, but both has their elements.
So let's play "Into Eternal Slumber." And that was Into Eternal Slumber by Antim Grahan. Okay, now that everyone's got a taste of Funeral Lament, I want to kind of dive in into the album, right? And considering this is your second album, so to say, in your second stint, right after Goat Legion, what was the intent this time around with Funeral Lament? I mean, you clearly were looking at, a different sound. You Could you talk about maybe lyrically how you all were approaching it and how different was it recording this at this time?
Yeah, I mean, like I've said earlier, the whole idea of doing an album right now was we like making music, so we keep on fiddling around with music, and we have like this is our eighth album, right? But this time we didn't want it to record anything which was something that we already did. It's you know on the higher BPM or more extreme or something like that. It didn't make sense to us, so we just thought we'll try to experiment with something that might be a footprint for the things to come in future. So this was sort of the first step where we wanted to go in and work with the sounds. The soundscapes are slightly different than what we had on Goat Legion, because Goat Legion had very a symphonic sound, but this album, the sounds, even the keys are not just straightforward symphonic, but they have been, we played with the sound. We try to create disturbing notes and stuff like that. Try to make something that we haven't done before, also incorporating the traditional Nepali music. The vocals are different. The female vocals usually we have, especially in Goat Legion, was we worked with this lady called I forgot her name. Hey, I forgot her name, but then again, we worked for with a lady from the UK. She has already a band called Keris, which is a very nice band. So we worked with her. But this time, this album, it's absolutely not Western. The vocals is absolutely, the dialects are so closely related to our own culture from, the the farthest part from the city and all that sort of thing. So it was a very interesting experiment for us to do. So and lyrically, um yes, I mean lyrically we have experiment with few paragraphs and ideas about the songs per song. So it's not like one story album, but all the songs are different. So um yeah, we try to incorporate also the lyrics, the Nepali lyrics, the Nepali um, few paragraphs of from the same dialect, and that was very interesting. And because we work with our friends from from different sort of fields. One of our very good friend is called Jason Kumar, who has a band called Night. I think they're performing in Germany coming this week, and they work with also the traditional music, but they're not metal per se. But then again, they do wonderful things with their sounds and music. And yeah, so he has written some good music to it, given voices and all that sort of thing. Some lyrics would be related to what we did in Goat Legion, of the story building, the violence, the sadness, and all sort of thing, but also um, incorporating it with like the traditional things that we're trying to do. So yeah. So since this is not a completely changed version of what Goat Legion might be, but it's definitely not the uh, upgraded version of Goat Legion. But like I said, it's sort of a footprint for something that's going to come in future. Something different there.
Okay, and I'm going to ask you a little deep question, so just a bit of a
Yeah.
heads up. But I sense also that, you know, legacy is something that's important to you, right? Because you brought up a couple of times where this is a sound you'll want to, first of all, you're looking at something with like your traditional instruments, traditional
Right.
lyrics, but also something that's the footprint or something that you're looking to build on in the future. At this
Hmm.
point, does it matter to you how Antim Grahan is kind of seen, the legacy of the band? That's why, uh, was that a statement that you all were trying to put out with the Funeral Lament? Looking
Um.
backward also?
Well, how do I put it? I mean, we have never discussed or even thought about having a legacy or any sort of thing. And whatever when I say a footprint for the new albums to come, that is for us to work on the new material. To work on experiment on the music so that we start making music which is or which was absolutely different than what it was that we were doing before. So I think the footprint, the experiment was more of for ourselves to learn and build upon and try to bring out new sort of music and create our own sound so that we believe that it's about time. It's already too late, but it's about time that we create our own very specific sound for Antim Grahan and then build onto that. And as far as legacy goes, I mean, we've never played for legacy. I've never played for any sort of stuff like that. We don't even believe in having fans and stuff like that. We all believe that every one of us are like brothers. We all sit together in this extreme fest and we all work out and we are what we are, and the music that we make is what it is when everyone is there. So I don't know if we are specifically heading into the legacy thing, but I think it's more of thing for ourselves to improve as per se. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. What I also want to touch upon, and a few cool things I keep getting jealous when I see the updates from places like Kathmandu and all, is the
Hmm.
live gigs that you all have, right? I mean, uh, if I'm not mistaken, earlier this year you all had actually Mayhem
Oh
perform
yeah, yeah, yeah.
in, and
Yeah, we
what
were
is
supposed to
that?
perform with them. We couldn't, but
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, I saw
yeah.
that happen. But what is that experience like? I mean, especially like people like who kind
Oh, it's
of,
crazy. It's
yeah,
crazy. It's very. Yeah, I mean, it's weird, you see, because we have like really big metal bands coming in here. Because we had Decapitated, Behemoth, Testament, Gansabat, and who else came? Yeah, Mayhem. That's the legendary black metal band. It was like a big thing that they came and played here. Vader and Napalm Death, all that sort of thing. I mean, these bands have come here and played, and which is crazy. And then the funny thing is, we do not have a very hardcore fans for each specific bands, but still the crowd turns up in a good number, and then they're appreciating and enjoying the show. And I don't know, it's interesting. It's very interesting that bands are here, which I think is absolutely brilliant for the scene, though.
yeah. I must add, right? Like I did have a chance to speak to the vocalist of Testament. For some reason, I'm like blanking out on his name, but
Yeah, we're getting
he,
old, dude. That's what it is. I
yeah.
forgot the name of the singer from the past album too, but yeah.
Shit, I swear, the moment we end this recording, I'm gonna remember and I'm gonna like go cut and record back. But he fondly
Yeah.
did remember playing in Nepal, and I think like
He
that,
did. It
yeah,
was a great show. We used to have this big festival called Silence Festival, right?
correct,
And
yeah.
before we had like Netfest, Decapitated and all came there, but that was done by my brother. But he went to Australia, so that stopped. And then we started having Silence Festival, which was the biggest metal festival. But because I think it started with like COVID or a little before than that, it stopped. And I'm really hoping that starts again. And that they would bring like crazy bands. So. I really hope that they start it again. So
Yeah.
it would be really
And
cool.
I'm really sorry, Chuck Billy. I forgot your name. Just saying I had to Google it. But
Oh my
wow.
goodness.
Wow. But yeah, I mean, I remember seeing pictures and I can't remember which band. Again, I'll have to look up this picture. But my friend Hassan, who plays in a band now in Germany called Zanjeer, he ended up
Okay.
also in Nepal traveling, and then he ended up performing at, like, I think it was Silence Festival itself. So it was really cool.
Oh really? Which
Yeah.
band?
I think with Vishal, if I'm not mistaken, he ended up performing. So it would have probably
There are
been
so many Vishals. You got to be like more specific.
uh,
There's this guy.
Vishal Rai.
There are a couple of. There are
Vishal
two
Rai?
Vishal Rais. Which one are you talking about?
Oh shit.
The one from Inside Two Stupid Triangle, or the other one?
No, the more recent, the younger one for sure.
The younger one. Okay, all right. I
Oh
got you.
no,
I got
sorry,
you.
this is Vishal Rai from Inside Two Super Triangle. Sorry, sorry. So it's his band. I can't
Did he
remember.
play in a band called Chain of Dogs?
No, no, I don't think
No,
it's this
wait.
Vishal.
six nails, six coffins. He keeps on making a lot of band. Vishal Dai, if you're listening, you're crazy, but he has so many hardcore bands. It's just insane. Was it called Neck Deep in Filth?
Yes, I think that's the one he ended up
Okay, right.
playing with.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so I think, and that was really cool to see, at least, a band and someone, especially like from across the border, going into kind of Nepal
Yeah,
and performing,
that
and like
sounds
performing
interesting.
with his like full Pashto kind of, or I don't know what it
Really?
is,
Wow,
kind
I
of
missed that
salwar
one.
kameez. There's a
Right,
cool
cool.
picture. I'm
Okay.
gonna uh,
Yeah,
put
yeah, of
find
course.
that and put it up. But yeah, so and I think that's also one of the cool aspects about the shows, right? Like you said, is that
Mhm.
irrespective, because even I saw, I think, decapitated pictures. I've always seen like all these big
That
bands,
was a long time
including
back, but yeah, yeah.
uh, Cancer Bats, like people show up, and I'm like, fuck, why do they get such an audience? And like in India, we struggle to get, right?
But you have like a huge metal scene, especially in the south, right? I mean, Bangalore open air
Yeah, Bangalore open
is
air
quite,
and
quite
stuff like that.
yeah, it's quite crazy. So yeah,
Yeah, so it's interesting just to see, kind of at least contrast and see, that
yeah.
having been there. But I mean, other than the Vishal bands, I definitely want to kind of touch upon the metal scene in Nepal, and like considering you've been around and been playing in bands for then, what's the evolution? I mean, of course, you talked about like the trendy bands, but any bands you think have like, stuck it around and kind of gone through all these
Um,
years?
there are bands that have stuck around. Like I've said, Bishala is always there. He's been there for a very long time. He's been further more than us, right? But he keeps making new bands. He's crazy. He just keeps on making new hardcore bands. And there's a band called Binash. They play death metal. They've been around for a while. Um, there are a lot of uh, young boys coming out with hardcore bands like Strangle, Maranatha. I think they're playing this gig as well. And I don't want to forget anybody's band, anyone's band, and then get a bad draft for it. But I don't seem to be remembering the other bands. Underside is there, but Underside is more of a they're not extreme underground as per se. I mean, Bikrandai, the guitarist of the band, the founder of the band, is basically the one who does Silence Festival. But they're more like Slipknot. You know what I mean? So they're not underground, but they're not fully commercial either. So yeah, so they have been around for a while. They've done a wonderful thing, and they were the first band to from Nepal to tour around the world. So that is one thing they've done with amazing music videos they take out. What else? Ugru Karma used to play till few years back. I don't know if they are still playing, but they were there too. But yeah, I mean, these are the band. These were like few bands that rings in my head that they're playing. So I'm talking about like metal, extreme metal, like not extreme metal. Though on the top of my head, these are the bands that I can think of. So yeah, these are the bands that have been around for a while, and well, I mean, the scene is very small. I don't even know if there's a scene because we have not been part of any scene for a very long time, right? Because we don't play live a lot, and but there are a lot of gigs happening, and the metal scene was not absolutely dead, but I feel like maybe it's become a little smaller, or maybe it's the same. I don't know. I mean, we are not part of any scene as per se. Like we are not, endorsing any sort of thing, but there are always people supporting metal. Let me put it that way. There are always guys who show up and support, and there are always people, doing metal, loving metal scenes and all that. So yeah.
I suddenly, and Vishal, please forgive me if you're listening to this episode. I forgot that they actually did, Neck Deep in Filth did a split with a band called False Flag from India. But it's been so
Oh
long,
really?
because I just realized it's been 7 years. So this released all the
Oh
way
wow.
in 2018. And yeah, like you said, right? Vishal keeps bringing new bands and coming with new bands.
He's
Uh,
absolutely ball of energy, and then he has this sort of bragging rights that he plays, and now he does the vocals, right? So he does it topless with his six packs out, and he's like, "Hey, I've got six pack and shit." Like, Bishalda, if you're there, you're such a troll.
So I think,
And yeah, and I also forgot to mention, when Mayhem played here, they went to India to play, but two of the band members didn't get the visa, so they were stuck here, and I think they went back to yeah, wherever they were going to play next. So that was funny. They couldn't play because next stop was India.
yeah, that was quite a bummer. I know quite a few people who actually
Mm,
showed up, traveled from around, the country for that show, and it didn't happen. But
yeah, that was
hey,
bad.
the apparent. I mean, I've read last that the organizers say that they're rescheduling it. So who knows? Maybe sometime this year, Mayhem will come back, or next year. I don't know.
They're really good live. I mean, they're very good. So
Oh
people do
yeah, I
enjoy
I
that show.
managed to catch them 2 years ago. Yeah, 23.
Same
I
here.
caught them
I
at
watched them like a couple of years ago, and then I
yeah.
saw them here too this time.
And
Yeah, so
I have to say, I
we're
mean,
lucky.
one thing about them is that their live show is an experience. That's the only way I can put it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Like they just
amazing.
like there's this atmosphere, there's this energy that they just kind of enwrap you in. And
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it is for a lot of people. And like for me, honestly, the first time I felt this was when Iron Maiden I saw live. As a
Mm,
young metalhead, as a teenager, I never thought I'd ever
wow.
see Iron Maiden live. And then to see them
Wow.
actually in person performing was just like one of those like moments where I was like, fuck, like stuff like this can
Right.
happen in my life. And now that we're
Right.
seeing like more and more bands come down, um, and also the fact that I get to talk to some of these bands through the podcast, so I think that's like a great thing. But
Yeah, of course.
coming back to you guys at Antim Grahan, you guys actually, while you said you all don't play a lot live, I saw a video of you all performing, and I think this was the release show for Funeral Lament a few weeks ago. But
Hmm.
you all also are playing
Right.
a show with a band from India, Disequated Vengeance and Mararatna, actually this weekend, the one that
Maranatha,
we're
yeah.
talking about.
Yeah, the
Uh,
Saturday, yeah.
yeah, what's that like? And like considering you'll play very few shows, what's the kind of prep going in? What do you look forward to?
Firstly, the venue that we're playing is a new venue. We have not played there before, and I don't know. I'm really looking forward to playing with these guys because they both play different kind of music. I think the band from India is the deathcore band, and the Maranatha play hardcore grindcore, and we play black metal, infused black metal. So should be like a little fun, gig, and also the fact that we would like to be a little more active than we usually are. We don't want to be a bunch of lazy old folks who just does, like, I don't know, a couple of gigs a year and they do nothing. I mean, we just thought maybe we could tour this time and play a little more live and be a little more active. So yeah, that was one of the main point we said yes to the gig. Yeah, and also it's done by Cable and Sanjay and the organizers. I know them, really good guys. They've been doing good stuff. They're bringing a lot of band from outside, from India, from all over the world, doing the little fest, which is going to be a huge boost to the underground scene if they keep on doing it. So, I mean, we just want to be part of it and help them do that also. So so yeah, that's how we ended up in Vile Begins 3, the name of the gig, Saturday.
Awesome. So I'm gonna look forward to whatever videos I anyone ends up posting
I
or you
hope
guys
I hope
posting.
they bring in some good videos. I don't know, but yeah, let's hope so.
Okay, so just to kind of wrap up, right? And you've kind of talked quite a bit, and we've gone through your entire journey. And I think the best way to kind of
Yeah.
wrap this up is what's next for the band? I mean, I know you'll have just kind of released an album, but where do you see at least the rest of the year going?
So we are crazy about making songs. We like making songs because we just don't have anything else better to do, to be honest with you. So we'll look forward to playing live a little more this year, and see have like tours done. We'd like to. We would absolutely love and play in India very soon. But also intercity tours are there to be taken, and probably again we'll start working on like new stuff and see how it goes, and slowly work on the new experiments, and we take it from there. So yeah, those are the things we try to do. We are almost half the year anyway, so yeah.
Awesome. So looking forward to more from the Antim Grahan camp. Any final words for everyone who's still stuck around and listening to this?
Um, well, we really appreciate everyone, each and every one of them who've always been around there supporting us from all these years. I mean, it definitely keeps us going, and we hope to give you good music. We hope to give you some stuff that you would really really love, something different, and we hope to see all of you very soon. Uh, Even though you guys are from India, our Indian brothers, and guys from Nepal, we're seeing them very soon in the city and going outside the city as well. So yeah, let's keep it active, and hope to see you all in the pit.
Cheers, man. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
And that was Parash from Antim Grahan. Do check out their album Funeral Lament. Hope they come down here to India somewhere, maybe Bangalore, if not Mumbai. Definitely love to check them out. Do check out their videos on YouTube. They've got quite a few live videos out. I'd highly recommend you check them out, especially if you're not from the region. That's it from this episode. As always, do follow me or hit subscribe on whichever podcast platform you're listening to this episode on. To find out when the next episode's out, follow me on social media. I'm Trendcrusher on all social media platforms. I'll see you all very soon. Cheers.